Well, welcome to this edition of True Talk. Tonight with my special guest, who's coming by way of video. No, he's here. Well, you welcome the entertainment mogul, Mr. Tyler Perry. The one and only. We're proud that he's here in Atlanta, Georgia with us tonight.
By video? I gotta tell y'all about Tanja. She's in hospitality back there. She comes up to me when I was upstairs. She said, do you need to go to the bathroom or anything before you go out? I say, why are you walking up on me like I'm in Pampers? I appreciate it. Thank you. Man, I should have went to the bathroom. God bless you. Thank you for having me, Bishop. I really appreciate it. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much for this.
Your most brilliant move was when you had me in Medea's family reunion in 2005.
That's right. It changed the trajectory of everything. But you still wasn't able to save her.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Wow.
I asked him to have a couple of shots before we came out here of Hennessy. He said, no, we gonna go on out there. Am I talking too much? Okay.
I told him I can barely handle him sober.
You don't want to see me drinking. I go to sleep. It's not.
Wow. I'm so honored to have you here tonight. A lot of people don't know the multifarious nature that you have.
You're going to have to stop using these big words with me because look, you can't be sitting there doing that. Now, just tell me what that means. We ain't finna do that. Bring it down. New Orleans, barely got out of high school. You got to help me out here. We're going to make sure the multifarious nature of your... What are you saying, sir? What are you saying, sir? Sometime I'll be watching you. I need a dictionary. Let me look that up. Then you see me on CNN using that very same word. Multifarious.
Oh, my goodness. I hope we can get through this. Wow. On a serious note, your mother, Maxine.
Oh, you gonna go there. All right, yeah, okay. Let's talk about Maxine.
She endured abuse, financial hardship, the injustices of growing up in a Jim Crow South. How did what all that she went through impact your life?
You went there, okay. Just talking about my mother is always hard for me because she is still my complete rock and foundation in this. If she hadn't taught me about God and faith in Jesus Christ, I don't know where I would be because she didn't have millions of dollars, she didn't have some legacy, but she knew the Lord. Yeah. And no matter how dark it got in our house, she would say, "Come on, baby, let's get up and go to church." Yeah. And she wouldn't force us to go, but every time she'd go, sometimes my sisters wouldn't go, it would just be she and I. And it was for me watching her go through all kinds of madness at the house and then come to church and she's, having this great time. I wanted to know this Jesus that made her feel so good and so wonderful. As a little boy, I was like, "Mama, why are you crying?" She said, "Because God is so good." I'm like, "God is good and we're going through all of this at home?" She said, "Yes, baby, it's going to be all right." So to have lived a life where I'm in a place where I can honor her now. And even I'll never forget when I retired her from working, I was scared to death because I just started doing the plays and I was hoping they would work. And she was like, "Is she getting sick all the time and sicker and sicker?" And she asked, I said, "Just go ahead and quit." She said, "You gonna be able to take care of me?" I think her check wasn't even $500 a month.
Wow.
And she was worried about being able to buy her medicine. Wow. So when I was able to do that, that was one of the greatest gifts God had given me in my life, to be able to take care of her and retire her.
Wow.
So you talk about what she meant to me. What she meant to me was it's beyond words. We don't even have enough time to talk about it. But because if I had not had that kind of love, that kind of strong will, that kind of you better get in line, I'm gonna knock you upside your head. Yeah. But I'm also gonna love you. And if you do it too much, I'm gonna knock you to the floor and I'm gonna cry with you while I'm bringing you to the hospital. That's if I hadn't had that kind of love, I don't know where I would be or what kind of person I would be. So everything I do now in the honor and spirit of who she was in my life.
Wow, I love it. Wow. And is it true that the Medea character is a combination of your mother and your mother's sister?
Yes. She came from. I saw Eddie Murphy do the clumps, and I said, I'm gonna try my hand at a female character because I had did Old Man Joe before, and I love Old Man Joe, man. He's just out of control. Oh, yeah. So somebody say amen. So I started doing. I wanted to do this female character, and I wanted to model her off the funniest people that I knew. And I have an aunt in Houston named Mayola Ciparan. And every time she would talk, she would say, hello. And she wore her wig, and she would be proper. This is when she'd be, y'all don't act like y'all don't know when.
Right.
When the church announcements used to go forward in the church, and everybody, good morning, the church announcements are for today is as follows. The pastor would like all of your. Yo. And hearing that growing up, I said, oh yeah, somebody's got to do that. Somebody got to do. See, they done got too bougie. They act like they don't remember now. Yeah. I know some of y'all from Alabama, Mississippi, North Georgia, South Georgia.
Wow, they actually are. Wow. Wow. These are real strange days in which we live right now in America. I want to know, how has racism impacted you personally, and how has racism impacted you as a businessman? You've grown into an entertainment mogul. And I don't think that they just rolled out a red carpet to you to do that. Talk about the impact of the reality of that in your own life.
You know, just because it's a reality and that there are people who hate you because of the color of your skin, that hate you because of where you come from and who you are, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to engage. So every time they would say, you can't do this because you're poor or you're black or you don't deserve it. And I've had that happen. I've had a school teacher tell me, I said I want to be a millionaire businessman, and he said, you're never gonna make it. The system's set up against you as a child. So not only was there racism from outside, there was racism within us and from us. So I had to get to a place in my heart and soul and in my mind where I knew that I was hearing the word of God. You know, knowing that the words that are spoken in the Bible that tell you, so as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you think you less than, then you will be less than. And also to understand that, when God blesses you, he's going to, your gift will make room for you. So holding on to all of those scriptures in my head, letting my life live in that place. I'm still black, gonna be black till I die. Wouldn't change it if I could. But the wonder in it is to be able to rise above the thinking of everybody around you and know that I am a man and I am what God says I am. And if you tell me I can't do it, okay, you don't want to let me in that door, you better look out for your window and your roof, because I'm gonna come in some kind of way. So if it's always been stacked up against us, always, all of our lives it's been stacked up against us, but you can choose to participate in it, and you can choose to be a part of it, or you can be a part of the solution. And part of the solution for me was to put myself in a position where I owned all of my work, which allowed me to have a catalog that allowed me to own a studio. And that studio, listen to me, walking in to buy Fort McPherson Army Base, that was established in 1885, 20 years after the ending of slavery. And now a black man, one man, stands there in ownership of it.
Wow.
You can't sit around in the woe is me of it. If you sit around thinking about the woe is me, the man's trying to hold me down, you're not going to be able to get up. You better start leaning on the promises of God and understanding that if God said it, it's going to happen. It's going to come to pass.
Yes.
Jesus died so that you could be. You just got to go for it, man. Don't get me started up here, man. Come on now.
Oh,
Come on. Come
Wow.
on. Come on.
I
Because
have-
every time I drive through those gates, I got to seal you in.
Yeah.
Every time I drive through those gates over there, I look at that sign, established 1885, and I think about all the ancestors that had to cry and wail and moan.
Yeah.
That were praying that, God, we might not make it through, but please let one of our children or some kind of way that thing fell on me.
Say that. Yes. My.
And it makes me wonder who else is in the room that it's fallen upon. But you're sitting there, and but you're worried and you're confused and you're looking at everything that's going on and you're not paying attention. What thus saith the Lord? And if you would just focus on what God is doing and where He is telling you to go, you will get to the destination, because you've got a wind of the ancestors' prayers at your back that will push you into your destiny.
Yes. Wow. Will you tell them what is in the foundation on those buildings on that campus? Chills went all over my body when I drove up on that campus. Tell them what's in the foundation.
When I was walking through trying to design where I wanted things, I said, and I got Andy sitting right there, one of my guys, my right hand, just right there at the studio. I said, we need to bury Bibles. Bury the word right here. Bury the word under all of these buildings at the foundation, so that when people drive across into this place, they got to cross the word to get in it.
Yes. My.
And you got to cross the word to leave, so you're going to get it going and coming. But if you see the children's faces, I say children because at 48, these kids are in their 20s, coming to work, production assistants, and they walk in there and they're looking around the building and all the places in the stages, and their eyes are like, a black man did this?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there right behind them going, yeah. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Nothing but God. Nothing but God.
Wow. That impacts it impacts the life of every young person, every person who has a dream on the inside of them. Even your son, when he's out on the beach on your own island, he doesn't know, he thinks that he's on vacation somewhere. Tell him about him.
You just say, Daddy, where are all the other people? He calls me Papa. But we were out on the beach. I got to tell you this story. We were out on the beach over the holidays, and we were walking up the beach, and he's 3 years old. He's gonna be a very tall kid. He is my mini me, except he's just got really, really big curly hair. And we're walking up the beach, and he's jumping behind me. And I turn around, I'm like, what are you doing? Because he was jumping, dot. What are you doing? He said, I'm trying to walk in your footsteps. I got down on my knees, face and say, I can't, oh God, have mercy, help me, Lord. Talk about this. I got down face to face and I was talking to him about what he was doing. I said, listen, I've walked my path. I want you to walk yours. So let's walk hand in hand. So we walked hand in hand to the end of the beach, and I got to the end, and I said, now look, now we both left our mark. So it was just a really, really beautiful moment. So it's just trying to get him to understand that nothing is promised to you. He's gonna have to go to work like I did. He going to Popeyes, McDonald's somewhere when he get of age, because he's got to learn that this don't come easy. And just because you were born into it don't mean that it's absolutely for you unless you earn it. So I just can't imagine raising a spoiled, rotten kid, and I see a lot of these children in Hollywood out there and in New York, and parents have given them everything. I break that joker's neck. But I love it. See my mama in me? See my mama in me?
Wow. And not only have you a blessing to your son, but there are so many different times, and most people don't even know all of the charitable things that you do for so many people. You'll see something that's happening in the media and reach out privately and help people that are hurting, that are in financial straits. When they had the big hurricane in Houston, and it flooded, And I was talking to Joel Osteen's mother, Dodie. She was on the phone and she said, you know, this young man, Tyler Perry, came in and he just wrote out some big checks. She broke down and started crying.
That was her voice? I don't think she appreciated that, but okay. Well, but that was good. That was good. That was good.
But what motivates you to help people that are in dire straits?
I tell you this, 99% of the things that I do, people don't even hear about, because it's not about doing it so that somebody can see it, but sometimes it's about doing it so that you can motivate and inspire others to do it. If Joel was being unfairly attacked by, he's locking people out of the church and he's doing, I'm like, this man in Victoria, they're good people. They're not locking anybody out of the church. It was wrong, and when you see that kind of thing happening, you have to get in front of it and say, hold on, wait a minute. Not only is this not true, but I'm going to show you by putting this here so that he will go and show you he's going to do the right thing with it. So sometimes you just have to stand up and send up a flag, say, no, guys, back up off this. That's not right. So in that instance, that's what that was about. But in other instances, if you can, do. If you can, do. If you are sitting there watching somebody in need and you have the ability to help them, do it. Now, God don't lead me to help everybody, but there are moments when I see things and I'm like, okay, this is something that you can help with, and that's what I try and do. Yeah.
That is so commendable. That's so commendable. Wow. Wow. When I told people that you'd be my guest here this week, some of them wanted to know, how do you deal with delays, disappointments, and just the discouragement when you're trying to make your dream a reality? What was it in you when you knew that you had something, but your exterior life was not manifesting that, and you got to a place that you were homeless because you put everything that you had into what you believed, which was the part of the gift that you had, but it didn't manifest immediately. And you didn't find Oprah that just said, okay, I'm going to write you out a check and I'm going to finance your dream. What kept you from quitting?
First of all, God wouldn't allow that for me. There were people who could have helped me but didn't. And they had the money, they had the ability. This wasn't Oprah, I didn't know her at the time, but they wouldn't help me. And I'm like, God, well, he helped this person, he helped them. Why isn't he helping me? And what I realized is that God set me up in a way that when I got to halfway to where I was going, I would look back and see that it was nothing but his grace that made it happen. Yeah. Because had there been people, when you wanted them to come in and do something for you, then you might the praise and worship might fall that way. Or, well, this person did that, or that person did this, or this person. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of people along the way, but they were puzzle pieces being put together by the Most High to give me a platform to be able to stand on. So that's one thing. Sometimes God will close every door so that you have to look to him for everything, and you understand that there is no other way that could have happened had he not done it. And sitting here right now, I know for sure that there is no other way that this could have happened had it not been for the Almighty God that I serve. Not one other explanation. And when it got really dark, I give you two words that helped me. Encourage yourself. I would get around. Is that three words? Why are you laughing? Encourage yourself. Okay. I would. If the people around me were negative and naysayers, and listen, I had people that loved me that told me to stop. I was never going to make it. They weren't. My mother told me I was never going to make it. It wasn't that she was trying to hurt me. It's just that she couldn't see what God had planted in me. And her vision for me was to go and work at the phone company, make a few $100s a month and get some benefits. She would have been very happy with that. But when God puts something down on the inside of you and it starts growing, it will stretch everything inside of you till it gets out. So there I was in this moment trying to get to this place, trying to push, trying to make it happen. And I had to encourage myself. And what I mean by that is to get away from everything negative that's around you. Block it out with all you can. Block it out completely and start putting on music and read things and read the word and things that encourage you, things that are going to make you stronger inside, because the strength, when it gets in this, comes from the soul. Everything else got to get in line. I think it comes from within first. Yeah.
Wow. And let me tell you now, he's got faith and works now. When you're in the studio business, I mean, you work 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and then back up at 6 o'clock the next morning, and just ungodly hours. But so it's faith and works. Let me just tell you this, that the areas of your focus determine the areas of your reward, and the areas of your neglect determine the areas of your pain. It's very interesting, very interesting. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had to deal with unforgiveness in your own life? From people that hurt you, disappointed you, betrayed you in some way, told you that they were going to do something, reneged on it, just haterade, just
Yeah.
the abuse that you endured.
Yeah. Well, listen, I say this about my father a lot and I've been saying this for years. And what I haven't said a lot is that the man had an incredible work ethic. Yeah. He worked his fingers to the bone, brought all the money home. We never worried where food was coming from. I mean, he worked. But he was a man who had major pain in his life. He came from great pain, and he was trying to pass that on to me.
Wow.
And being a little boy, I don't know what this is like for a girl child, but I can imagine that it's just as terrible. But for a male child, watching his mother be beaten and belittled, that kind of pain that sits inside of you, that kind of anger and that kind of rage and that kind of resentment, I had to truly, truly go to God to learn to forgive him. And understanding that the way I was able to forgive him was through faith and prayer, of course, but also taking a minute to try and understand him.
Wow.
Just step back from it. People think parents are perfect. They should be perfect. They're not perfect. Imagine my mother was 24 years old when I was born. 24, she thought she was grown, but she didn't know a whole lot, about life. So take a step back. Try to put yourself in that person's shoes before you judge them so harshly.
Yeah.
And once you're able to put yourself in their shoes, you don't have to excuse it, but you can forgive it. I'm like, oh, okay, I know why you're that way because of all these things that you've come through. So I'm going to allow you the opportunity here to be forgiven. And the forgiveness, true, I say this a lot, it is not for them.
Yeah.
It's for you. I could not have gotten anywhere. My first play, I Know I've Been Changed, did not take off. It was about adult survivors of child abuse who had forgiven their abusers. My play did not take off until I forgave that man.
Wow.
It did not take off. I've been trying for 7 years to get it up off the road, but it failed every year, or what I thought was failure every year. It did not take off until I forgave him. So It's so important because unforgiveness is chains and weight and hooks in you, holding you down. If somebody did something to you that hurt you, why would you give them the power to continue to hold you back and hold you down for the rest of your life? Forgive them.
Yeah.
And give up the hope. Give up the hope that it could be any different.
Yeah.
Give up the hope that it could be any different.
Wow.
It happened. It was what it was. It's heinous. It's dark. Well, Tyler, you don't know what he did, or you don't know what she did. I don't. But I'm telling you right now, holding on to it is hurting you more than it's hurting them.
Wow. And out of this, perhaps this own experience in your life, I know you got a great movie that's coming out next month. I think about a year and a half ago, you called me because you were fishing for a word to be able to title the movie.
Yes, because you know all them big words. I said, I need a word for this. What do you have? Let me run through my thesaurus. Come to my Philippines and my sermon, and I will let you know. I'll get back to you as soon as I've gone through my dictionary and my encyclopedia of Negro spirituals.
That's a pretty big word, acrimony.
Acrimony, yes, and I got that from you. Thank you, sir. Acrimony.
I hope you all know that means bitterness.
What's that?
It means bitterness. I was just telling the audience.
It means
bitterness.
Bitterness, yes. Yes, that's what it This movie is not what you think. It's because people go, I see some guys back there going, oh, they're male bashing. But if when you watch it, you'll see that it's about people that have a perspective of what happened and they hold on to that and won't see it any other way. And I followed the story from her point of view. So as the story's going, you think, whoa, this guy's really awful. But then things are revealed and you go, wait a minute, something's not right here. So it's about taking a step back, looking at it from both sides, trying to figure out, okay, because when you're in a situation, relationships are tough. When you've been wronged, let's be balanced. Take a step back and say, okay, well, this is my part in it. This was his part in it. And this is where it ended up. But the movie's really, really powerful, and I think it's going to speak to a lot of people because what happens in this movie is what happens when you can't let go of the bitterness.
Wow. Wow. It's a great lesson. That's a great lesson. I love it. Wow. Wow. Tell me this, what was your greatest failure, and how did you use that to help promulgate you towards success?
You know, I learned, my greatest failure was learning that I didn't have any failures. Everything that happened was for my good. Everything that I thought was going wrong, I remember being really upset because I had this television deal with CBS. And when I got the deal, it was Chuck Lorre. He was doing this 2.5 Men. He had done Roseanne, and he who phone is that ringing? And no, anyway, he was somebody would like, ooh. No, he was. I had this deal, and they were telling me, you know, Tyler, this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I got into some of the writers' rooms, and they were telling me, you know, you can't say Jesus. You can't do this. You can't. I said, well, I want the story to be this. No. We're going to do it this way. And I found myself in this moment going, okay, my agent's telling me this is great, and everything in me is saying this is wrong. So I was praying that the show didn't get picked up, because I would have been locked into a contract. And Chuck decided to do 2.5 Men. And they were like, Tyler, we're so sorry. We're gonna go in another direction. That's my Hollywood agent voice. Another direction. And I was smiling because I left there and I said, I'm gonna go to Atlanta and shoot a pilot of a little show called House of Pain. And they were like, Tyler, do 1 episode. I said, no, I'm gonna do 10. They're like, why are you doing 10 episodes? That makes no sense. But this is about following that instinct, that voice. So I go and do 10 episodes. He's doing 2.5 Men. It's a great hit. I do these 10 episodes, and I put them in a can because nobody, which means I held on to them, nobody would put them on the air. Well, not a couple of months after that, there was a merger between UPN and the WB, was becoming the CW. So all of these affiliates were left without programming. So none of them had any programming. So what they needed was something to put on the air. And all of a sudden they said, that guy down in Atlanta has 10. Let's put something on the air. Ratings were through the roof because of people like this in here, man. So that's what I'm saying. So everything that you count or think may be a failure, rethink it. Take a step back and go, maybe this is God closing this door so I can go another way. I look at life like a maze. You ever see somebody going through a maze and you hit a wall, you got to back up and go the other way? Well, sometimes that's how it is in business. You hit a wall, no, I was going to go this way, I got to back up and go this way or figure it out. But it's always God leading you in the right direction. That's what I believe.
Wow.
That's what I believe.
Just brilliant. I don't know how you've come up with all of this stuff. I mean, House of Pain, Meet the Browns, the have-nots, and then still pumping out movies and just, wow.
That's another thing. You talk about pain and disappointment and failure. Growing up, what happened to me was with all of the tragedy in the house and all the darkness, I started to use my imagination. Like I could sit in a room by myself. My mother thought something was wrong with me because I would sit in a room for hours and hours and hours. And she's like, go outside, come outside out of the room. But I would be in my head in another place. So when something horrible was happening, I could go in my mind to a beautiful place, and I would see myself as a little boy running through a field, right? So I gained this incredible imagination, which allows me to write all of these shows. I sit down, I don't have a writer's room. I sit down, I write every show, I write every character, and I'm sitting there in the room by myself using the same gift that was formed in turmoil and tragedy as a kid. I'm using it now in my day-to-day life in this business. So, yeah. And you know the thing that was strange? One day, I was in my backyard, And I was just having one of those days because I walked through the yard just in prayer, just talking to God. And I realized that the dreams that I was having, visions as a little boy running through the yard, there I was as a man walking through that same grass. It was my backyard that I was seeing and didn't even know it.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Tell us about the kind of people that you allow in your inner circle.
Well, I talk about this in my book, Higher is Waiting, and this thing was making the rounds on Facebook for years about my analogy of a tree. I think there are people, for those of you who hadn't heard it, probably the 5 of you that haven't heard it. How many of you heard this one? Oh, a lot of you haven't. Good, I'll tell you about it. So I put everybody in my life that comes in my life in the category of a tree. Some people are leaves. They come in your life, they're there for a moment, they're there for a minute, they're just there, they're gonna give you a little shade, do whatever they need to, but when the seasons change or the winds blow too hard, they can't handle it, so they're out. You can't be mad at leaf people are who they are. Let them be leaf people. Don't be mad at them because they're a leaf. Then there are people who are branches, who are a little bit stronger. You can rely on them to be there through seasons and everything, but if you step out there on them too far, they may break and leave you high and dry. Wow. So you don't know how much you can trust a branch until they've grown with you for a while. But then there are roots at the bottom of the tree, and if you find people who are like the roots, they're not trying to be seen, they don't need anybody to know they're there, they're just trying to give you what you need to hold you up. And a tree can have way many more leaves and branches than it have roots. So if you have a few roots in your life, you've done really well. And I've been very, very fortunate. God has blessed me with a good handful of roots to hold me up, to hold me accountable, to keep my feet to the fire and to pray for me and encourage me and hold my arms up while we walk through this.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Wow.
Go home, ask yourself how many roots you got. If you ain't got no roots, you might need to get a leaf blower.
Wow. What's your happiest memory from your childhood? You had to have some, even if they were in your imagination.
Unfortunately, though, it's just things were so dark that it overshadowed everything. And sometimes I think about what was the happiest. I remember Emmett, the man that raised me, that I thought was my father all those years, buying me a go-kart one Christmas. And it blew my mind that he had bought me a go-kart.
Wow.
And I was so happy, man. I was on this thing. Somebody had a Ford LTD, on a Ford Thunderbird, and I went around the corner trying to steal the hood on it because I was gonna put it on my go-kart to make it look like That was one of the happiest times until I realized that he did it because my uncle had bought one for his boys. So he didn't want to be outdone. So it wasn't necessarily for me as much as it was for him not to be outdone. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. They could have kept that part. They could have kept that part away from you.
Well, I was a smart kid. I was very observant. I'm like, okay.
You know, a lot of people don't know.
Can I tell you something about him?
Sure.
My mother, her whole life wanted him to stop drinking, and stop cussing, and just stop being evil. The day she died, he stopped drinking.
Wow.
Has not had a drink since.
Wow.
Goes to church every Sunday.
Wow.
I don't know what happened, and she would have loved to see that from him.
Yeah.
And I find myself struggling with it because I'm happy that he's doing that, but I find myself struggling like, Joker, why couldn't you do that when she was living?
Right. Yes.
So it's I do have a sense of pride that he is not drinking, that he is at least trying to find his way. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's really good. Wow. Somebody submitted this question. I wanted to ask this. No. What's harder, making money or keeping it?
It's when you have a gift or you know how to work hard or you know how to hustle, it could be easier to get the money.
Yep.
Maintaining and managing it is harder because what I found is I had no skills to prepare myself for the amount of wealth that was coming my way. So the first year that I made money, I gave all of it away. Wow. What I realized then, because everybody who asked, I gave them money. Everybody, because I felt guilty that I was making money. Wow. Listen to that, how silly is that? I was struggling, homeless, broke, had suffered for the art to get to where I was, and when I started making money, I was giving it all away. So I got to the end of the first year and gave all the money away in owed taxes. I say, why owe taxes? I don't live in Texas. I ain't from Houston. But no, but I had to learn in progress. I have paid for a Harvard education 10 times over in the mistakes that I've made. But I thank God there was enough grace and in the gift and people like this in this room who kept investing in me so that I could learn and figure it out. Because I didn't have, I couldn't call my dad and say, Dad, what are we doing with the stock market? It just, and I've got friends that can do that. They can pick up the phone. Dad, I want a new car. Don't you understand? I look at these kids, man. I look at some of these rich kids. I be like, I want to bust you in your head right now. I'm mad my dad didn't give me a Range Rover this summer. I have a friend who's a very, very wealthy man, and he has children. And I feel for him greatly a lot of times because he has children that never learned the value of a dollar, don't understand it at all, felt privileged, felt entitled, and it's such a shame for me to watch. So learning all of those things in progress has been very, very difficult and rewarding and challenging, and also learning to lead and putting the right team together and trust, because H&R Block is a great company, but they can't do my taxes no more. You know what I mean? It's a little different thing now.
Yeah, wow. So now, are some of the people that are part of your root system, the inner circle, are some of these people individuals that help to guide you in knowing how to manage money?
Now I got a pretty good handle on it now, but early on I was very grateful for Oprah to be able to call her up and say, listen, have you ever dealt with this? Oh, I went through that in '86. Yeah. Here's how this goes, and here's how that goes. And to have people that don't want anything from you, who just want to point you in the right direction, is a gift and a blessing. And I really pride myself on being that person in life. Like if I do something for someone, if I'm showing kindness or giving something to someone, it really is coming from a place of I want absolutely nothing from you, but to see you win. And I want to afford you an opportunity that I didn't have. There wasn't somebody there to say, well, do this, do that, do this, do that, until I got, able until I was fortunate enough to know her and a few other people that I could call.
Wow. Wow, that's so great.
Now folks are calling me. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I look at some of these young stars and starlets, and we were talking about this a bit. I want to grab them. And some of these rappers and some of these folks at the bling bling, I just want to grab them. Like, got my Bentley, got my Gucci, and ain't got no health insurance. It's like, let me.
Yeah, wow.
I want to grab them and be like, let's have a conversation. Let's have even if you look at this and if you look at the way this industry goes, and we look at people like Lee Daniels and Shonda Rhimes and all these people who have all these great shows on the world, and they make a lot of money. They do very, very well. But the difference in what they've done is they don't own the shows.
Yeah, right.
They can be fired, which is a problem.
Yeah.
If there's going to be effective change, then you have to be in the ownership role. You
absolutely.
have to be in the role of owning it. And for me to own 20 movies and 1,900 episodes of television, that's never been done before by a person of color ever. So to be in a position to do that,
and that should be celebrated. That ought to be celebrated. No, really. Yes.
And,
yes.
And I'm saying to them, listen, let's have a conversation. I can walk you through how this can be done for you. But sometimes you get so ingrained in the system that it's difficult to break into your own pattern. The gift that I was given is God gave me this great gift of being completely and utterly unvaluable to them.
Wow.
They had no idea. He kept me hidden. I got into the town. I couldn't walk down the street without somebody saying hello all over the country, but got to Hollywood and they didn't even know my name.
Wow.
So I was able to make incredible deals because they didn't know who I was. So that's what I would hope for more of us in the industry, that we would get to a position of ownership so that we can absolutely affect change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Black Panther is amazing. I'm going to see it. I saw it the other night. It's incredible.
Wow.
It's really incredible. But it would be more incredible if Ryan Coogler owned it, is what I think.
Wow. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Wow. What is the most important principle that you live by every day, or principles, just guiding things that you live by every day?
Trust the Lord and do good.
Wow.
Trust the Lord and do good. Just trust the Lord and do good. Trust the Lord and do good. That's trust the Lord and do good. And I just honor and respect people. And I really, really believe you reap what you sow. So I try to sow good. I try to sow it everywhere I can so that I can see that not only in my life and my son's life and just all. I want every seed that's planted to come back as something that is good. Like if you think about it, you go in your backyard and you plant an apple tree. One day you're going to get apples on that tree. You water it and you nurture it, right? You're not going to go out there and get oranges.
Right.
Because you planted apples. Why would you be mad if you get apples when you planted apples? So I try to plant good because I want good to come back to me.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. Wow. I don't know why people assume that if you have money, you don't have challenges. What are some of the greatest challenges that you've had, and how did you overcome them?
Wow, that's the greatest challenges I've had earlier on were just trying to figure out what people wanted from me and what they expected of me or who I was to them. Because before, if somebody would walk up to you and shake your hand, you go, or it's like, hey, you want to go out? Like, yeah, let's go out. You know what it is. Yeah. But being in a position of money and success, you find yourself going, wait a minute, what do you want? And just getting to a point of letting go of the what do you want and realizing that 99% of the people that come along are going to have an agenda. Yeah. And the challenge has been finding the right people who have no agenda, who just want to be there that because God wants them to be there, and also that they are there to help you do what you're supposed to do and carry your mission. That's been a great challenge for me, but I'm grateful that I've been getting the right people as long as I can remember, and it's coming along greatly.
Wow. I've observed about you that you've been able to be authentic to your core. A lot of people, can I give you a little etymology?
Edamame? Ain't that them little green things they serve at the restaurant? Go ahead. Yeah, yes, give me an etymology.
To do what you've done takes courage. I mean, a person who lacks courage couldn't do what you've done. It takes courage. Courage comes from a French word, courage, which means heart. And that word actually comes from an old English word that means core. To have courage, it has to be in your core. If it's not a part of your core, you don't have the courage or the intestinal fortitude or the strength to be able to do it. And when I first went to one of your plays many, many years ago, I'm sitting in the audience and I watched courage rise. I had never seen an actor come out of character and somebody walked in late, it's like, didn't you know what time the show started? He busted them, and it became a trademark that you have writer's liberty. But it takes courage to do that. If you're afraid whether people are going to like you, but somewhere in your core, in your heart, the real essence of who you are, there was that courage, that faith, this confidence toward God in you. So you've been true to your core. You didn't ask what the world wanted. What the world wants is people who have come alive to purpose and their core, and you realized that and became comfortable in your own skin. So I celebrate that. I salute that, and
And you have to understand that's uncomfortable.
It is.
Faith is having faith and stepping out on faith can make you really uncomfortable.
Yes.
If you find yourself really comfortable in a situation, I don't know how much faith you're walking in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
wow.
when you get uncomfortable in it and you have to be like, God, you really want me to do this? You're gonna.
Wow.
Is this the vision? Am I equipped to do this? Is this for me to do? And you step out there in it, and I'm telling you, that uncomfortable feeling I've had for a long time in pushing to the next level. And that's okay. Wow. Because when you're uncomfortable, you have to lean on the comforter.
Oh, wow.
So it's okay.
Wow.
It's okay.
Wow. It is evident that faith has had a very critical role in your life. A lot of people don't understand that in the Hebrew, the word businessman literally means man of faith. It literally means man of faith. You can't go into business without having some faith because you don't have any guarantees. I mean, it's a risk. Another word for risk is faith. And you've been willing to take that. And so the Hebrews understood that when they know that a person goes into business, you're a man of faith. And you have exhibited that in a wonderful way. And so to me, you've demonstrated your faith by your works. It's taken faith to do that, but talk about the role of faith in what you've done.
Well, for me, it's the compass. Yeah. It's the compass of how, because I get, analytics and data, and they're like, well, Tyler, we think you should do this. Well, Tyler, you think you should do this? And I'm going, let me just go back. Okay, sometimes I sit in meetings and go, okay, great. I go back to my office and I start talking to God. Okay, what do I feel? This don't feel right. What do I feel? Which way am I supposed to be leaning here? What am I supposed to be doing now? So I go back to what I feel. Yeah. Get the data, get the information, but don't let that intimidate or challenge what you feel inside. I wouldn't be here if I had gone on what everybody told me I should or shouldn't be doing. I had to step out on faith, and I had to trust the voice inside of me that was leading me to where I am now. And the beauty of it, I'm telling you, the beauty of it. One day I'm going to open this. We're not ready yet, but I'm going to open the studio up for a tour so people could come in and see. And when you see this, if you could just see the faces of these people coming to work, just see the faces. I sit there smiling from ear to ear. There's a girl that works in production, and she caught me in the hallway one day, and she said, and she's young, probably early 20s. I've been watching you, and I've been praying for you, and God's gonna bless you. And then I saw her, she had gotten all the PAs together, and these kids are 17, 18, 20 years old. She got them together, and she's had them all in a row, and I didn't know they got together every night. She's standing there telling them, you can do it. You can do it. Whatever you feel, pray, ask God for it. I was blown away by it. Wow. And because we pray every morning before we start work. And I don't make it mandatory because I don't want to get sued by somebody saying you can't pray. Mm-hmm. No, this is my place. We're gonna pray. And it's just to set the tone. And when the tours are open to drive through that place, there's no way you can't feel what God is doing.
Yeah. Wow. Tell us what advice you would have for somebody who really has a dream of going into the entertainment business. What advice would you give them?
It's tough, it's difficult, but don't give up. Yeah. I think that there are more good people that are showing up. I think God is planting people in places to help lift the industry. But the biggest thing is I would say don't give up. But when people would come and audition for me in LA, I'd do a show. Say I was auditioning for the Have and Have Nots or something, and I'd see these actors come in, and they wouldn't get the part, right? And they come in fresh, excited, and then I come back a year later and I'm going to audition for something else, and some of the same actors would come in, and I see a little bit of the light fading out of their eyes. And then I go back the next year, and some of the same actors would come in again. And over a 2-3 year period, you see all the light start to leave because the town is so hard, and it can really rip you at your soul. Yeah. So to be able to be a person that can say, okay, I'm going to help you with your dreams is a precious gift. That is a gift that is so precious, and you have to honor it and respect it. So I would say to people, if you're going to be in this business, you got to pray a lot. Know yourself. Yeah. Know who you are going in, and don't stop. Yeah. I don't care what doors close. Don't stop. Go another way. Don't stop. If it's for you, it's not going to let you rest. The mantra at the studio is a place where dreams believe, because what happens is sometimes your dream will have to start believing for you when you get really down. Yeah. That's what happened with me. I had this dream, but nothing was coming to pass. Nothing was happening, and that's when the dream started reminding me of itself. Yeah, well. It's like Joseph. With his dream, with all he was going through, the dream started to believe for him so that he could remember to keep going to where he had to go.
Wow, I love it. Wow. The way that I put it is that a dream is not something that you have in your sleep. A dream is something that keeps sleep from you. you don't really have a dream has you. We don't really, I've asked people, does the journey make the man, or does the man make the journey? And really, when I thought about it, it is the journey that introduces the man to himself, that helps him to really know who he is. Your journey has introduced to you who you have become. And I just wonder, to me, most people that I've ever met that have achieved great levels of success, if you were to ask them that years before that ever manifest, they never imagined it. I mean, they were believing for some big things, but when you live in the dimensions of what you've done, it's almost as where it's exceeding abundantly and above all that you could ask or think. Did you ever think that you'd be where you are today?
I had a feeling I would do well, and I had that's why I said Scripture is so powerful. I had a feeling I would do well. I had a feeling that things would go right, and I was going to be successful. I knew that. But there was a point in my life where I became completely at the mercy of what God wanted, which is a beautiful place to be because I have gone past anything I could have ever imagined of my own. What I'm seeing in my life right now is things that I couldn't even dream this. I couldn't even have fathomed this because there wasn't a reference for it. So now I'm living in a place where I didn't see Fort Mac.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Yeah. Okay, we out of time. Yeah, we out of time. But I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you one thing. I got a call. They said, "Please hold for the president." Not the current one. And it was President Obama, and he said, "Tyler, I'm coming down to Atlanta. I want to do something at your studio and do a fundraiser there." I was like, "Okay." So the presidential motorcade comes through Southwest Atlanta, passed by Greenbrier Mall. I couldn't have imagined that.
Wow.
And then he was leaving. We were going to my house for dinner. He said, "Listen, well, come ride with me." So I'm sitting there in the Beast with him. We're coming down 166 and I look over to the left, and 85 is closed. There's nobody on the road but us. And I'm looking at all the people back there, lights in the distance, honking their horns, hating every minute of it. And he was talking to me all the way to the house, and all I'm hearing was wah, 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 wah. And he said, I said, "Mr. President, I'm sorry. I have not heard one word you say because he started laughing. I said, "What a great country that you could become the President of the United States."
Wow.
And he turned to me and said, "What a great country that you could become Tyler Perry."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I love it. My. But tell me, what was your motivation in writing this book, Higher is Waiting?
These are just, I've had these journals for years that I would write things down, and people would always ask me advice, and I'm the counselor for a lot of my friends, and I just decided to put it in the book, and it was on the New York Times bestsellers list, and it's really, really helped a lot of people, and I'm really, really excited about the lessons that I've put inside of it and dedicating it to my son, so I know that as people read it, it's going to bless them well.
Your life will be the same in 10 years, except for the people that you meet, the experiences that you have, and the books that you read. Get the book. It's in the lobby. It'll be in the lobby tonight. Will you thank my friend, Mr. Tyler Perry?
God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Wow.